spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode, we finally finished the preseason. We beat the New England Patriots 20-10. We're going to quickly recap that game. Then we're going to give you our 53-man roster projection. It is admittedly late as we're recording this, so I know I fucked up for sure, but we'll look at it anyway, and we'll discuss what it looks like for both of us. And Josh Harris spoke to the media and answered some questions, and so we're going to go ahead and talk about that. That includes Sean Taylor Memorial being redone. We've got stadium talk. We've got name talk. It's all there, and then the comment mailbag, as we always do. But before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
We are still awake. I'm awake since what time is it right now that we're recording this motherfucker?
It's basically
11.
Midnight.
It's almost midnight.
Yeah.
I've been up since 5:30 a.m. 5:15 a.m. You owe us. Share their shit.
That's perfect. Please do share this shit. I got a Gatorade right here. I got a water right here.
I'm staring at a water bottle that's too far away.
So
bothering.
Anyway, guys, share this shit, please. We do this for you. We love you guys, and we love this team. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So we beat the New England. We beat the New England Patriots 20-10. Jaden Daniels gets interviewed by Melissa Stark. So does Bobby Wagner. We got some IE love over there. It was pretty cool. And Trace McSorley lowers his shoulder right on our sideline, and everyone gets fired up for that. Cade York is making kicks. K-Dot, what'd you make of it all?
I'm glad it's over. I think more than anything, it was real. The body language moments. As far as the body language of the entire team on the goddamn sideline, I think Chris Collinsworth said it best near the end of the game, which was like, when he was talking about Dan Quinn and being a Dan Quinn, he's like,
I can see it.
And it's like, there you go. They were fun. I loved, like, majority of the shit as far as, like, going into the game, as we were looking at, we had our 53-man rosters. We had, like, all right, what guys on the bubble are going to improve? Who's going to make sure they get in? And that ended up being a little underwhelming, if I'm being completely honest, as far as the dudes that I thought were going to potentially move into positions or whatever. And it ended up just being more like, I just loved the vibes, man. New England looks bad. But the vibes are immaculate. Seeing Bobby Wagner and Jaden Daniels being like tied to the hip the entire game and it looking natural was like, that is supremely dope. Terry McLaurin, I love every time that Terry McLaurin is like happy and gets to do an interview. It's just, man, going into the regular season, the vibes are very, very high, and I love that whole camaraderie, that whole team atmosphere. It's going well. And then beyond that, like, if we're looking at the stuff on the field, like, I'm glad Trace McSorley had his little moment. Maybe he'll find somewhere else in the league to latch on because he won't be here. And beyond that, them trying to force certain things, like making sure that they did everything they possibly could do as far as showing us Kaz Allen in every potential situation ever, just to try to have. And really, he had a good decision on one of the punt returns, but beyond that,
I mean, he was, I think, 8 feet in the air at one point on the kick return. You remember that? Where he returns it, and it was just, the coaching staff loves Kaz Allen. So whenever you hear from reporters about Kaz Allen, it's, rave reviews about the guy, and then it looks like he's maybe not working at wide receiver, so they try him at running back. Like, they want him to make this team. Now, spoiler alert, I don't have him in my 53, but I do think that he should be fine on a practice squad. Should be, but it depends on what the coaching staff thinks. So when we get to the 53, it should be interesting when we're having that discussion. And I'm sure there are a couple of guys that maybe you, the audience, will look at and be like, how do you not have that person in? So we'll get into that in a moment. K-Dot, we were talking about this last wide receiver position. We had traded Jahan Dotson, and I wasn't necessarily pounding the table for Martavis Bryant, but I liked Martavis Bryant. And I thought in terms of body language, in terms of moments, he had quite a few, in my opinion, in terms of drawing penalties for automatic first downs, getting a lot of penalty yardage that way, grabbing whatever came his way, including the touchdown, which was a contested catch over the middle. And you saw how fired up everybody was. You even see Jaden Daniels run onto the field to celebrate with Martavis Bryant. I thought he was probably the big winner of the night because he was on the outside looking in. He just came in a couple of weeks ago. I think he did enough to make the team tonight, K-Dot. I don't know what you think, though.
I don't disagree. You were higher on Brian and I was higher on Allen going into this game, and that absolutely flipped for me. Because like we wanted either, and so over the course of today, that 6 receiver slot had changed quite tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I started this morning with Tremaine on that list. He was eliminated tonight.
He had a rough game.
And I hate it. But so I thought by default, all right, is it going to be Kaz Allen as like whatever they're looking at as far as wide receiver, running back, hybrid, or whatever the fuck it is they're going to do as far as the designation? Or what I know they really want to have happen is one of the big body receivers does enough to say, okay, that they have earned a spot on the team. And I think Bryant did enough tonight. And in knowing his pedigree, and then knowing that, like, most everybody just want to know if he was still even capable of fucking playing beyond the years that he took off. And albeit it was against a bad New England team and, like, basically practice squatters or whatever. But it showed me that, like, hey, and the Adam Peters hug on the sideline to me was like okay, he's here. He did it. He did enough.
Yeah, I agree. He did enough. And as a wide receiver 6, it's sort of it's a low risk, high reward situation where he's only playing a handful of snaps. If you need a different way to beat the defense because the current thing's not working and it's just F it, throw it up to the big target.
Well, the touchdown was
gives
crucial.
You
that was a goal line, big body. He boxed out and got what he needed to get. Yeah.
Over the middle. And then you can still potentially, I know some people don't like a fade, but like you could. I mean, he's big. Like, depends on the corner that's on him. So he provides that. We'll see if he ends up making the team. I would imagine he does, just because the timing of the moment as well could not have been more perfect for him.
Yeah, so, I will say early on in the game, I had Pringle. I even threw.
Yeah, Pringle had a couple really nice catches, including one that got called back. You're like, hold on. He turns around by the sideline, makes a really nice catch there. It was an interesting battle.
It was a bench battle, but the penalty was easily like, yeah, stay in bounds, asshole. But the catch was like, all right, if you want to know a guy that's like playing his ass off and trying hard and like speaks to that whole commander's spirit or whatever, I was like, all right, maybe it's Pringle. And then Bryant put together enough stuff where I was like, all right, Pringle might have more over the course of the preseason I like, but he doesn't have the body that Bryant has. So
right, yeah. Any other? Well, I want to quickly touch on Cade York also. I mean, they were pretty standard kicks, but I felt comfortable, whenever we tried them out, like extra points go right down the middle. That was kind of cool. And the kicks were routine. I mean, it was a 33-yarder and a 34-yarder, but nice to have the kicker make kicks and not miss one wide right or wide left or anything like that. So just a quick shout out as we continue to figure out who the kicker is going to be. Is it enough for him to be the kicker here? I don't know. There's going to be practices. They're going to be cuts. Like, we'll see what ends up happening, but just wanted to say, hey, major kicks, which is good. Go ahead, K-Dot.
Yeah, I was watching the entire game under the that New England, whoever lost the New England battle will probably be here competing.
Hey, why don't you guys do your 53 now and then you just stay?
Right. That's what I literally thought was probably gonna happen. This is like in the after the game, it's just Adam Peters runs up like, so you guys make a decision? No,
yeah,
all right,
honestly.
Either like Chad or Joey. Hey, we got you. You'll be here over here next week. We just do a little competition. Yeah. Do I think Cade York has done enough that they'll the draft pick will actually be one that gets switched and he's going to be on the roster to start the season? Yeah, I think that's the case, but I still don't feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long way to go. It's not like he hit a 50-plus yarder,
It's crazy. What was it? Chad Ryland? Chad Ryland?
Yeah, Chad Ryland.
Who had the worst kicking percentage in the league last year?
Mm-hmm.
I got a good feeling about him.
So it just goes to show that we're not quite in the special teams department. I mean, maybe he goes on to have a great year.
That my thing is that like it's not the Hall of Fame. Well, there's not really Hall of Fame, our guy, but the greats usually start out great and they're always great. But there are some dudes that end up being like long-term journeymen that usually struggle their first season or two that then like get
No,
in
that's
line.
true.
So that's what I was looking at that. I was like, wow, he kicked a lot. And it was like, maybe he's a guy that like you could grow with. Who knows? But I don't know. There's nothing to piss me off more than missing field goals. So.
Yeah, of course. And then anything on defense, kid. I mean, Jacoby Brissett ends up getting hurt. KJ Henry gets in completely unblocked, but it was still nice to see us sack very quickly, finish a play very quickly. That was a positive moment. Tyler Owens in a single high safety look when we blitzed. All of a sudden, Gibson's open in space. Shout out Antonio Gibson. Welcome back. And he makes the tackle in open space, which we're not always used to seeing that. I know a lot of people who are fans of this team know last season that was in no way a guarantee. Again, I thought Tyler Owens did well in his limited action. So
I think if there was an award for Commanders preseason MVP, it's Tyler Owens. That dude came out and really performed. Yeah, defensively, like once again, you saw the list. I had it. I wish I had uploaded it so I could play it right now, which was all the guys that were going to be inactive today.
Right.
But like if I'm looking for who stood out, John Ridgway showed up. He absolutely played his ass off. As you said, yeah, that's lock. Who was the other? You just mentioned him. KJ Henry. Yeah, it's like some of those dudes they weren't necessarily mortal locks. I think to me solidified that like, okay, they're in. I still wouldn't even consider necessarily Ridgway a lock, but I think he's made it extremely difficult for them to decide not to go with him.
He had that minor stretch of 2, maybe even 3 plays where he was just in the backfield immediately. Mm-hmm. It must be said that New England's offensive line did not look good.
No.
And so it's hard to tell, was it us or was it them? Was it a bit of both? But Ridgway is also, in his time over here, produced in the regular season as well. So you got to give him some credit for what he's done. Yep. And so when you put it together with what happened tonight, I think he made a very, very strong case to be in the 53, right? So you could make the case he's a big winner tonight. Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, at least to me, was like, are they going to make a decision between Mathis and Ridgway? And I think that both of them over the course of this preseason improved. I like both of them here on the team. I don't know if it's a luxury that we can afford to do when it comes to the 53, but I'm all for it.
So why don't we go ahead, because we're already sort of flirting with this 53 and talk about the 53. Any final thoughts before we move to that?
I'm so glad preseason is over.
I'm also glad preseason is
on
over.
an especially long day to have to watch that, to do this.
Yeah.
Look,
share this shit.
I will say, at least it was fun because of the vibes, and it was nice
a home game. You know, it was
having
nice
Tariq on Collinsworth there. It's not. Look, man, they mean the world to me. But when I got to listen to Chick Hernandez and Brian Mitchell call a game, I just don't take it seriously. So it's.
I actually didn't mind him this. I didn't mind.
It's not that I mind them. It's just I know we're not dealing with the A team, and like even from a camera standpoint, when every once in a while there's a fake out, there's a pump fake or something, and the camera's following somebody that they don't need to be following. I'm like, yep, that's that Comcast Sportsnet shit. Like, it's just
NBC. Yeah, when you get Tariq Collinsworth and Stark, I mean, that is a team. Like even the interviews were very extensive. It's the national media getting to know the local. Like it's different.
I don't know. Seeing the Washington D.C. B-roll shit just gets me fired up. Like MLK Memorial. I don't know. I like that shit.
That's fair. That's fair. So how do you want to do this with the 53? You want me to share first, or do you want to share first?
Well, all right. Let's pull up your list.
Okay. Pull up my list.
If I'm being completely honest, I thought it was going to be done differently.
Okay.
I thought we were going to fill it out together, but the
well, hey, it's up for debate over here. So I'm going to go ahead and share.
But we went over what it is, and we're pretty fucking similar. So
we're really close.
It makes sense. Let's just talk through it.
Okay, so here we are. So you guys can see my 53 over here. The wide receivers, I have 6. We talked about this quite a bit in the last episode. It's Terry, it's Diami, Luke McCaffrey, Jamison Crowder, Olamide Zaccheaus, and then Martavis Bryant. I think we both feel did enough tonight to be able to get that 6th wide receiver spot. Then looking at the linemen, Brandon Coleman, Cornelius Lucas. I don't know who's going to start day one. I'd probably be Cornelius Lucas, honestly. I listed Brandon Coleman first just because of the reports and stuff like that were coming out of camp that he was doing very well, but he hasn't played. So I think it'll probably be Cornelius Lucas to start. Then you got Allegretti, Biotish, Dieter, Cosme, Paul, Wiley, Scott, and then 3 tight ends with Ertz, Sinnott, and John Bates, all inactive tonight. So that to me represented roster locks. You could, of course, have Jaden, Marcus Mariota. If anybody wanted Jeff Driscoll to be QB2, I think that got silenced tonight. But he's still good enough to make the team, of course, as the QB3. Then be Rob, Eckler, Wiley. That's my offense. K-Dot, what do you make of that offense?
Wide receiver, we are completely lockstep. The offensive line, we are completely lockstep. I thought that there might be a chance they look to just have 10 guys on the offensive line, because some teams actually do that. Mm-hmm. And knowing we have some questions, maybe they want to keep another body there. I'm with you as far as the 3 tight ends. I was thinking maybe Cole Turner would do enough. He clearly did not.
Had a tough game as well. Yep.
Yeah. That was rough. Quarterback, I think this is temporary. It's Mariota still dealing with the injury. I don't think you could risk not having the 3rd guy here, just because I don't know exactly what's going on with the timescale for Mariota. But I don't see Jeff Driscoll being on this team all the way through the year. I don't see him being on the team once we know Mariota is like healthy. He might be one of those guys you call at some point later on the season if the worst were to happen. And I'm with you as far as running back. Michael Wiley to me was a dude that kind of stood out. Like you had the 2 locks, which is B-Rob and Eckler. And then it was kind of fluctuating as far as like my power rankings went Wiley, McNichols, and then Rodriguez.
Yep.
And then what's his Jones?
Yep.
Austin Jones. Yeah. So that was sort of my power ranking on it. Even though Jones had a couple moments, he got hit in the backfield a lot, but he had a couple moments where it's like, all right, so that's a good, hard, angry run. But then you start remembering, like, you see a lot of that shit late in some preseason games just because you got some scrubs on the defense.
Right.
But yeah, I really do think that like that's the only thing I think we're looking at as far as this list goes. If Mariota is further ahead of schedule as far as the injury thing goes and Driscoll ends up off that list, I would absolutely say the next person I would look at, if it's not going to be offensive lineman, would probably be Kaz Allen, because I really think that they love him so goddamn much.
Well, and so behind the curtain, guys, before this, I was just thinking about what K-Dot was talking about with Kaz Allen at the tail end of the last episode. And then I was reading more about him after that. And just, it is so obvious how much this coaching staff loves Kaz Allen. To me, he didn't stand out tonight, but I was influenced by everything I was reading and by what K-Dot had said, and initially had him in despite all that. And so then after thinking about it a bit more, I was like, okay, if it were really up to me, I wouldn't. So therefore, he's not on this list. But that is somebody who I wouldn't actually be that surprised if he ends up making it in some capacity. So like he did end up taking some running back snaps as well. They like him. Go ahead.
So to me, the thought was like, if we're talking about like from a hype standpoint going into this last preseason game, I think coaching staff, it was clear it was Kaz Allen. I think from a fan perspective, it was Bryson Tremaine.
Yeah, you see the size and you just go, okay, that guy should be on the team, right?
Early on, they gave him some looks that just didn't work out. And then I think what the coaching staff was doing was they let Kaz do a lot of different things in this game in hopes that maybe this would be the Kaz Allen show and he would show enough. If he disappointed, which to me, he had a couple good moments as far as from a special team standpoint that I liked. But overall, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, if I'm looking at like what I need on the roster as far as from an offensive standpoint, and even what he brings special teams wise, when there's some other guys that I'm really interested in, he just doesn't make the cut. But but he is absolutely squared away as far as a practice squad player for me.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I think we're on the same page there, and I think he should be safe there, but you never know in the league. But that's how the offense shook out for me. The defense, this was tough, honestly. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's quite a bit wrong here, K-Dot, but we'll go ahead and go through it anyway. So we got Cleveland Farrell, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, KJ Henry, I have kept Javonte Jean-Baptiste because this is Adam Peters' first draft. I think there is a bit of bias towards those players. So I've kept him. And then there's Jamin Davis, currently listed as a defensive end, but I still think he's going to play linebacker, but maybe I'm just being an idiot. So we'll see what ends up happening there. We got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Johnny Newton. I got both Phil Mathis and John Ridgway in. So I think about Dallas's run defense last year and how, it was a bit of a small, light lineup. It helped for rushing the passer, but I think Quinn and Witt probably learned from that and go, okay, no, we want bigger guys and we want to be able to eat that space. It helps to have more of these D tackles, in my opinion, to be able to rotate. So I've chosen to keep both. Then there's Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Jordan McGee, who may start on IR, which would open up a spot for maybe someone we talk about
in a few days. Yeah.
In a few days. And then Dominique Hampton, who, again, when we initially got him in the draft, it was as a safety, but he's been playing a lot of backers. So listed as linebacker. Corners, Michael Davis, St. Just, Manuel Forbes, Mike Sanders still might be the best corner on the team already. Jeez. Tariq Castro-Fields, and Noah Igbinoghene. We got Jeremy Chin, Jeremy Reeves as the safeties. Jeremy Reeves, I think, will have more of the impact on special teams. And then we have Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Tyler Owens. Tyler Owens, MVP of the preseason, and he has run some with the 1s and 2s.
I think you're looking at your starting safety.
I was going to say, so I want to see the other safeties, but I would not at all be surprised if Tyler actually starts, because everything I've seen of the guy has been pretty damn near perfect. Like, I don't know what else he needs to do. He's gone against some 1s already. He's gone against 2. Like, it doesn't matter who he goes against. He shows up every single time. Like, absolute diamond in the rough. But this is my defense, Kate. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the positions that were the most we spent the most time on, or at least I spent the most time, was absolutely corner and safety. Corner, I'm surprised that we lined up as well as we did. I think there are some decisions as far as just how many guys they want to keep there at corner compared to safety, because it's a lot of guys there. I would tell you that there are 2 guys that are more known to us being Washington fans compared to the new administration in Reeves and Forrest, in which if I was just looking at defensive play, I'd eliminate, honestly, both of them. I'd be completely fine with 4 safeties and maybe adding another corner or something to it, just because corner I probably have more question with Tyler Owens becoming what it is that he's become so far in preseason. But yeah, we line up as far as those 2 goes, and I'm with you. Reeves it's the special teams that gets Reeves, and not to mention, as far as as much as there have been some things that Reeves has done that have maybe rubbed me a little, I wouldn't even call it the wrong way. It's just like a ping goes off every once in a while. And I'm just
sure.
what the fuck is going on with this dude? There's no denying, if you're talking about what it means to play like a commander, he embodies that shit, and the players on the team love his ass. So he's just a dude that I think is kind of just in there.
Yeah, we've been through a lot as a franchise for quite some time now, but more specifically in the last few years. And Jeremy Reeves, to be a Pro Bowler, playing special teams, having the relationship he does with Tress Way, I recognize that we're doing as much. This is you seeing the roster. I'm
trying to see the roster. My camera's blocking part of my screen, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm all lined up. So I guess kind of.
So as you continue to watch K.Sway, guys, the thing for me is that, yes, we are sort of cleaning house. It is a new identity.
Yeah.
But this thing, I don't think you mess with, especially if you don't have to. And I think Jeremy Reeves is going to be great under Larry Izzo. He made the very first tackle for this game solo. So he clearly has it. And so
that's what did it for me.
Right.
If I'm just being completely honest, Reeves did not start today on my 53.
It was just that first tackle. You're like, oh yeah, that's Jeremy Reeves.
It's because there was, and this is where it came down to, once again, the practice squad thing is we're staying in the secondary, because I do have some stuff on the line, but the Anusium was a dude that I had at corner.
Yeah.
Starting, and then I'm just like,
you could still make it. It's going to be interesting.
It's because you remember when we did that episode about the undrafted free agency, they paid him a lot of fucking money. And it ended up being one of those things where I'm like, all right, can you stash him on a practice squad, or is this going to be somebody that somebody wants to come and try to take?
Right.
it's the same thing. Like going back offense just a second. Is Hartman's my number one practice squatter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want anybody to fucking get him. Like that's just where we're at with it. And it's just the practice squad ends up being, and I think you even heard in the preseason game, Collinsworth and Tirico were talking about it with the 17 game schedule. Practice squad is fucking crucial. You're going to be calling up these guys absolutely throughout the course of the season, maybe weekly, who knows? But it's like it ends up being extremely, extremely important to have. So yeah, it was just kind of playing a numbers game. Like if I'm being completely honest, I probably would have picked Anusium if it was me over Michael Davis. Honestly, just if I'm looking at what it is from a play standpoint. But I just think his experience ends up being something where you start looking from a practice squad standpoint. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys end up being on the practice squad compared to making an active roster. I just think it depends on what it is the coaching staff is looking for.
Sure. I mean, I think Davis is an absolute lock, but because he was inactive today, if I remember correctly, right? So he was one of those that, So like, I
was trying to read into that a bit. I know that I did definitely when they released that list, I definitely pulled up my 53 and was like, okay, who are my locks now? Because they don't even.
It's like, let's start there. That's your skeleton for the locks. That's your spine, and then from there, who else do you have?
I think it's interesting because I really do think it's a toss up to a large degree between Davis. I think Noah's done enough. Castro Fields is really, really interesting. I'm actually surprised that both of us had him on our list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm cool with it. This is one of those ones where, like, if you were to ask me how confident I am in the picks, this is the position I'm the least confident in of any other position.
Yeah, the offense felt a little more clear, but the defense is like, okay, let's go ahead and see what happens here. And so we'll find out again.
Yeah, it's a little harder.
Yeah, and so those cuts occur on Tuesday. We will find out the 53-man roster at that time. The special teams, of course, we have Tyler out as the long snapper, which, by the way, shout out. That's also something in preseason. That's been clean. That operation has been clean, at the very least, in terms of the long snapping we talked about last year, which that wasn't always the case. And so we've got Cade York for the time being. He made his kicks tonight, which is excellent. And we got Tressway, who looks great in that number 10, continues to look great in that number 10.
He does, but he should have chose number 3.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I'll let that go for now. But that's the 53-man roster.
Trez.
Okay. There's a little something there. Any final thoughts, Kate, up before we move over to Harris?
Yeah, there was some as far as the offensive, the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Ridgeway and Mathis both making the cut. I think they did enough to do that. I do think 10 defensive linemen, knowing what it is that this is what it goes to. I know you admitted that you had been looking at the Cowboys roster from last year to see what it is that they did
on defense.
On defense. And I know that they've talked about like the rotation, everything. I think that gets, if I'm going to be completely honest, like brutally honest, Davis is still on the cusp for me.
Okay.
I think
he did play through this preseason game.
Davis to me is on the cut. Is he like, I would not be, and I know this has been something I've been kind of speaking to the last few weeks. When I look at the rest of the guys, like KJ Henry had himself a day today, or had himself a night tonight. I think it gets interesting. Because even at linebacker, like I liked Anthony Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
Pittman's not on my list. McGee's hurt. Pittman's not really a replacement for McGee. Walker's a replacement for McGee. But what do they do if they have to start off the season? Look, the 53-man roster is going to have Jordan McGee on it. It's just what happens afterwards if they designate him or put him on IR and who gets brought back. I think that gets really, really interesting. But it's going to be – I don't think they're going to bring in a new person. It's just going to be one of those dudes that we're kind of arguing is on the bubble or not.
Yeah, I tell you what. So Jamin Davis, of course, had one really, really nice play against Miami or with the strip sack, forces the fumble. So I think – at that point, I was like, okay, he should be good. Like he's shown that he wants to play like a commander. He's adjusting to a new position and trying that out. But
I'm rooting for him.
And I also admit that while doing this exercise and going through the 53, I did feel nervous for Jamin Davis while I was going through the names and going, these names are adding up. And he's not one of the first, 18, 20 names. So I got 25 offense, 25 defense. So all of a sudden when he's in my final 5 names, I do get nervous because I am really rooting for him. I want him to make it. I want him to have a really good year because you know how I feel about the Emmanuel Forbes critics, the Jamin Davis critics. Like, it's not their fault they got drafted where they did. I want them to thrive. So,
but it gets even more crazy for me because you have Jean-Baptiste on your 53.
yes,
he wasn't on mine. And the idea is the only reason, and that was a tough decision for me because I really did think that, like, I'm going with Davis just based on what we've heard enough talk in the media and everything about him that I think they're really going to try to give him a shot and just see what happens with him. But if we're talking about new regime, they're not beholden to fucking anybody. Jean-Baptiste is one of their guys.
That's the thing. And so that's the actually primary reason I have him in, Kate. I'm really glad you mentioned that because I was forgetting whether this was before we started recording or after, but I think it was before. The primary driver for having Jean-Baptiste in there is because I think this new group, I would imagine, as human beings would, have bias towards their own people. They drafted this guy. And so to be able to handpick their own guys, I'm sure there is a little extra there. I would be interested to see if Jean-Baptiste makes it and like Jamin Davis does it. That would actually be very interesting to me.
Yeah, Jean-Baptiste also one of the strong practice squad players for me. And the only reason that he is there in Davis is literally just playing the practice team. Davis is not going to be on the practice team.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Again, that's going to be on Tuesday.
I'm nervous.
I am too, because going through this preseason, going through the 90 plus that we've had, I don't know, I've grown attached to a lot of them, just like, covering it and seeing how it is. So that's not a fun day. I think when I was younger, it'd be like, oh, cool, we finally find out who's on the roster and stuff like that. And now I'm like, man, I got to know the humans a little bit, through reading in the media and stuff like that. And it's just, it's going to be tough.
Mine is for a different reason, but I don't want to be considered
that's my reason, dude. That's honestly
it's a good reason. It's a good reason. It's definitely a good reason. And you know what? I'm just going to agree with you.
Yeah, but that's smart for now. Why don't we go ahead and talk about Josh Harris? So I'll go ahead and stop sharing now. Appreciate you guys putting up with the Excel spreadsheet over there. And Harris, it was like Harris,
a little disappointing considering like you work in Excel, so I was really expecting like fireworks, but I'm joking.
I'm trying to work in Excel. Okay. Anyway.
I just wanted to play it out a little bit. His ass. I'm sorry, it's just black and white.
I was bummed. I was hoping to do a little bit more. I didn't. Sorry, guys. But you know what? Hey, let's talk about our owner, who's pretty fucking awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Josh Harris spoke to the media. Why don't we start there? I can't remember what Dan Snyder did. Like, honestly, it's cool that Josh Harris went up there, fielded questions, and started talking about, think about it, Kate. I don't think Dan Snyder's done anything like that. Like, immediately Josh Harris is doing this. So he's answering questions. We are going to be redoing the Sean Taylor Memorial, which I think is a great idea, objectively a great idea. Talked about the name, talked about Redskins specifically. There are a lot of you that wanted to come back, and he has shut the door on that fully. So there's that. Those are his words, his team. So gone. And then he talked about the stadium as well, maybe 2030, 2031, around that time frame. Kate, what were your takeaways from this presser?
Sidebar real quick. The reason I was making contorted in my face and after you said Dan Snyder was, I don't know if you heard, Champ Bailey gave an interview a few days ago.
No, I didn't hear this.
And he was talking about when Dan Snyder got there and how he knew, or when he knew, like, shit was fucked. Like, it's like, he said Dan referred to himself by like something crazy. Like, he's like, I'm a mean bastard or some shit. And everyone was like,
oh no, really?
Yeah, it was something.
I remember he used to call himself Mr. something. I can't remember what.
So it was like, as soon as he said it, everyone was kind of like, okay, what the fuck is that about? But hearing Champ talk about Washington in more of a positive tone, that feels nice. Still, fuck you, Laverne Coles. That's one guy. Yeah. All right. back to Josh Harris. Everything was just fucking great, man. Not calling that bitch FedEx Field anymore is just that alone. Like all the photos and stuff I saw coming out of Commanders Field, although the price for beer is still fucking ridiculous. It's just everything's working the same direction. He said from the very beginning that what he wants to do is work on the fan experience, right? And I think what he's understanding, he realizes that look, he's gone further than anybody's gone on record as far as like, hey, the name, it's a bit of a concern, but it's as far as the list of things and priorities, there's a lot of other things to get done first, which is we need the fans to come back before the name's not a lot of people think the name, or they're going with the name is the reason fans aren't fucking paying attention to the team. It's because we don't win. Like it's because we don't win, and it's a shitty game day experience. FedEx is it was a piece of shit. It sucked. Going to the game sucked. But everything that they're doing as far as making the fan experience easier as far as getting into the stadium. I did see the coolers that they have as far as like the transactions that are just like automatic, whatever they go to. All that shit is just making the game day experience better to get people more in the building. And then I think if he were to turn on the lever and say, hey, I want fan input on what it is the name should be, we at least buy that he's fucking listening because he cares about us, right? Compared to whatever the fuck happens with the Commanders thing, which is probably the number one thing that should rub us all the wrong way, is that they told us that they were listening to us and they clearly weren't listening to us, right? But I think that the biggest thing for me, just from a standpoint of going into this season, was the quote that he gave about the goals for the team. And this is a JP Finley tweet. But Josh Harris says his goals are long-term and not immediately about this year. I'm focused on building. Obviously, the record was abysmal last year, and we need to do better than that. The development of Jaden Daniels is also paramount for the franchise. But as far as what people talk about, to me, when I talk about my expectations going into the season being a developmental year, being that the expectations aren't necessarily what are for most other teams, we are starting from nothing, and we are trying to build a consistent winner for the long term. Be it that that's something that I've been preaching for fucking ever. And they hear that the big man, and we know whatever starts at the top trickles throughout the entire organization. We keep hearing it from everybody, right? Even Terry McLaurin, when he was doing the sideline interview, he was saying, like, yeah, from the top down. And he mentioned everybody on the way. We're all working towards this together. It feels as though we're all on the same fucking page. And I love hearing that. It wasn't a Dan Snyder leaked statement through Adam Schefter that's clearly throwing shade at everybody else in the fucking organization, right? Like, it wasn't that nonsense. Or it wasn't like we are working together. And that's fucking awesome.
The coaching staff, I feel, has been very transparent with us. It feels like, the GM, head coach, quarterback, owner, all on the same page. That has been apparent. I thought this was also just a really nice step and gesture to show the fans that, hey, I'm open, I'm listening, and here's what we're thinking. And so, because he doesn't have to, right? The old owner didn't. Like, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. And I think it's really cool that Josh Harris is choosing to. I think it shows that he has paid attention to how fans have felt in the past, what it's looked like in the past. And I think it's been hard to see any sort of missteps so far with him. He's just done a great job.
No, it's 10 out of 10 for me across the board. I did do something last night. I went back and I listened to the episode when the Sean Taylor Memorial was actually unveiled. I did a solo episode. You were out of the country. Okay. I fucking hated it when I first saw it. But immediately after I saw it, there were statements from the Taylor family about how they were part of the process and that they liked it too. So I was like, if they were on board, I'm like, and I remember when I first heard that, I didn't believe it. I thought that I was like, Snyder's this fucking evil. He's leaking shit on behalf of the fucking family to get himself out of stuff. And it made me really angry. But I remember calming down completely once I heard the Taylor family actually say that, like, this is what they wanted. I'm so happy it's getting redone. I don't think I could stress how happy I am that it's getting redone. It truly was abysmal. And how they fucked it up. And there was shit that they fucked up that they couldn't argue. The not having the face tape or the face tape on the face mask. Not have the tape on the face mask. The wrong jersey. It's like there was just shit that was like, oh my God. And to know that like when Josh has done a good job not shitting on Steiner unnecessarily because he knows that we all know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So like when he said it's deserving of something first class, and to see the video of his daughter talking about it,
yeah,
I cried. I absolutely cried. I cried a bit.
This needs to happen, and I'm really glad it is happening. And while Sean Taylor's family did have some input from the sounds of it, right, for that initial one, that can be true, but it can also be true that it could have been done a lot better. And so I think I trust who's in charge right now to make it a lot better. And I imagine it's going to be quite emotional when it's unveiled to everybody. I think it's going to be very cool. I expect to be quite emotionally moved by what the organization chooses to do over here. And I think it'll be worthy of the memory of Sean Taylor for a lot of us, because everyone holds Sean Taylor in incredibly high regard around here. So
yeah,
I'm excited for it.
No, it's gonna be awesome. Man, it feels so good. Like we still don't know what it is the product on the field is gonna look like at the end of the season or the end of 5 years or 10 years from now, right? But Lord knows, to root for this team and believe in this team the way that you can right now, or the way that I do right now, I didn't know if it was even possible.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're here, it's like constant like pinching myself. And it's fucking great, man. Nothing's gonna take me down off this high that I'm feeling.
Sort of noticed something cool actually in this episode. So we talked about Chris Collinsworth with Dan Quinn saying, I can see it. And you can see the energy that the team has on the sideline, for example, right? Everyone's together. Bobby Wagner and Jaden Daniels are boys. How cool is that? Right? Like he hasn't even taken a snap in the regular season yet, and they're already boys. That's really cool. They happen to be from the same place. Jaden Daniels impressing. I remember seeing on Twitter, there are a few PR guys who were like, man, the way that he handled that Melissa Stark interview was really cool. And you could see the personality, and you can listen to Tarico and Collinsworth say, man, he's got an infectious personality. He seems like, I think Collinsworth said he's going to be a superstar in this league. Okay, so that's going to be your coach and your quarterback. We talked about Tyler Owens being an undrafted free agent, and now should he be the starter? That's Adam Peters. And now we're talking about our owner and the stuff that he's doing. And so we have actually hit on the four main heads, if you will, in positive lights. You know, I know it's late. I know we're doing this episode, some of that, but like we are hitting each of these things quite well so far. It's as good a time to be a fan as ever.
No, there's like in our lifetimes,
easily.
There's not
easily.
It's just look. If I mean, we definitely had moments. Chris Collinsworth's damn near impossible to really hate anything the way that he usually talks about shit. It's always just over.
It's always positive and stuff,
right? Yeah. Which is why I've always been a Collinsworth guy. I love Collinsworth. But look, there have definitely been times where the teams have had fun in the sense of like them winning games. The streak in 05, where you got Clinton Portis in the fucking costumes and shit. You got Chris Cooley just doing fucking crazy shit. You had 2012. I don't remember. Like I'm not a huge fan of the city of Washington, D.C. anymore. It's just not the city I grew up in. But 2012, even when I didn't live fully in D.C., I loved being there when that streak was happening with fucking RG3. Like that felt good. It's just
cool, man.
It feels guilt-free now, man. It feels guilt-free. It feels legit. It feels real. I still don't know what's going to happen. But everything that I've asked for, everything that I've begged for has come true so far.
And Peter Schrager's got Jaden Daniels as his number one breakout star. So we'll see. It's been a really cool offseason. Why don't we go ahead and get to the comment mailbag and then wrap this episode?
Oh, shit.
That is my fault. I think I sort of You should do.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
Well, my fault. She just didn't want to wait anymore.
Yeah, no, thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. Just way to know it was your turn. I appreciate that. We got guys.
It's the rudest thing, but it's a bit.
It's the bit now. You wait, you look, and you go. Now's the time.
It works. I love it.
It is what it is, man. We do what we can. This.
All right, hold on. Let me ask you this before we. How many comments does Coach have?
Coach has 1, 2, 3, 4. One of them's kind of long.
Not too bad. All right, Coach. Look here. Come in close. All right, come in close. We see what you did, or at least I saw what you did. You try to secretly be able to kind of like outdo Jess Santo, and we don't notice that you're outdoing what Jess Santo's doing. I notice it. I see it. You can't get away with this, okay? You can't get away with this. And look, like I said, the X's and O's shit, we rock with you because you wanted the new G's. We love you, Coach. You're our homie. As far as any Philadelphia Eagles fan out there that I would like have a beer with and not want to smash that fucking bottle upside their head, it's you. But there's only one Jess Santo, Coach. He ain't gonna be able to do that shit. Being an Eagles fan, oh come on, can't be slick like that. Ain't working no more.
We're gonna go ahead and start with Tony, though. Oh. Shout out Tony P, because he literally commented 7 minutes ago.
Oh shit!
So it's as fresh as it gets. So beginning with Tony, Cole Turner had chances tonight and peed his pants. I don't think he's making the 53 again.
I'm sad about it. I like Cole Turner, man.
Yeah, and so even doing the 53, I was wondering if we were going to keep 4 tight ends, and if we were, it was going to be Cole Turner. But then he didn't do enough, in my opinion. Just the hands weren't there, or like maybe the block wasn't there. Like it was just a tough night for Cole and a great night for Martavis. And yeah, go ahead.
He was a practice squad player for me. And I absolutely think that added to the list of guys that, like, if Driscoll is here at the beginning because Mariota's hurt and then he leaves, would absolutely be a shoo-in. They showed some stuff in this preseason with some of the tight end alignments. I think it could get really, really interesting. I would not be surprised if they had 4 tight ends.
Let's find out.
Yes, you're right. Cole Turner, if this was supposed to be on the bubble, this is your moment, you didn't do it, bro.
Well, here's another one on Cole Turner. This is Coach Lombard. Shout out Coach Eugene Lombard. It wasn't you two, but Commanders fans in general are really hard on Cole Turner because he is not the receiver that they saw when he was drafted. Looking forward to week 1. #, share this shit.
See, you do that, share this shit, and I'm all back in love.
And we're right back in there, right? You know, it's a tough read. We go to Andrew Lally, shout out, who goes, this whole time, I thought Coach Lombard was just a nickname y'all came up with for Allison Lombard, LLS. Didn't know the background. Lally just came in, he's like, now it's Coach?
See, it's, fuck my whole thing at the beginning of this. You're clearly the star of this comment mailbag, Coach.
That's why you were going, and I was like, you know what?
No, but I think the dynamic of like Coach versus Jess Santo, I need that.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah,
that would be a fun one. Let's go ahead and go to Tony P again. Shout out Tony.
Tony did a few lines before he hit the comment.
Every time I open my phone, I'm praying for wide receiver trade news. So kind of, in a sense, he's looking for that hit. He's definitely looking for that hit. Still waiting on A Train. Would know, a fictitious character you created and continue to run with.
See, you still gotta do it.
No, you're doing that again.
I am too tired to deal with your lies.
You're gonna like this one. This is from Cody Rid. Turn up your volume, Terrence. If you remember Terrence last week, your volume ain't working.
Turn my headphones up.
Shout out Cody Rid for what I'm going to call the comment of the day, because I remember reading that and being like, that is excellent. Turn up your volume, Terrence. Come on, man. If you're listening, if you're trying to listen, I don't even know.
I'm just saying,
gesture it.
Before you comment on a video that they think we fucked the volume up, what was his troubleshooting process like? But he just give up.
I guess. But he's like, I'm going to leave a comment. These guys just didn't.
I'll do social media for shit, right? And like, I'll have a post saying like, so there was like this weekend, one of the bars was doing a bunch of soccer shit. And I got doors open at 11:30. Put it on the story. Doors open at 11:30. So on Twitter, doors open at 11:30. Somebody goes beyond all those posts to then send me a DM asking what time our doors open. And I won't reply. I refuse.
No, you can't. On principle. You can't. We go to Earl Bruce. Shout out Earl Bruce.
Or maybe Terrence is deaf.
Oh. Adam Peters traded a 5th for a 3rd.
You're walking for the diagnosis. Like maybe he'll get it checked out because
Adam Peters. And he goes, y'all volume isn't working. Adam Peters traded a 5th for a 3rd and 2 7s to replace the one they traded for a kicker. I like it. That's Earl Bruce with the comment over there. Shout out. We do need a collab. I need to reach out to Louis T specifically. We go over to Kenny B. Shout out. Trading for the kicker does not prevent picking up a kicker on the practice squad for competition. If a new kicker beats out Cade York, we probably get our 7th back.
Right.
If York works out, then a 7th is a cheap price. I believe we all agree on that. And the Jahan Dotson trade also, if you are one that really cares about, every single draft pick, and look no further than me, for example, I've got John Baptiste in because he was a draft pick of this regime in the 7th round. So they do care about this stuff. We'll see what ends up happening with Cade York, but it makes it easier if he does end up making the roster to go, hey, we picked up 2 7s from the Eagles in the Jahan Dotson trade.
The clause is if he's our opening day kicker, not if he makes the 53, right?
Correct. He needs to be the week 1 guy. So if he's active week 1 for the Washington Commanders, I imagine that's probably what it says.
Joey Sly, come on down.
Save the 7th. Save the 7th. Cade York did perfectly fine today. We go to Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out. I'm not sure what kind of player Jahan will be. I'm pretty sure that the current turmoil in Philly will not bode well for the locker room this season. I look forward to this as a Commanders fan. I hope Jahan can weather whatever storm is going to hit. Hashtag Die Eagles Die. That's Big Papa Grizzly.
So we did the Cowboys episode. We never got around to any other teams in the NFC. I don't think we don't have time to do it at this point. But the Eagles are hilarious to me this season. The NFC East is pretty fucking funny this season, especially the Cowboys and the Eagles. We talked about the Cowboys ad nauseum, so everybody knows what I feel about that.
Right.
But the Nick Sirianni basically being, what is the threshold that prevents him from being fired?
Is crazy. What you had said, we were having this conversation about.
Did we talk about
the NFC Championship game, and you were like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, because I also think that team. I do think that team, without guys like without the leaders that they have had, Kelsey in particular, will turn on that motherfucker. They will turn on him.
I wouldn't be surprised. Let's go over to a Philly fan, Coach Lombard, with another one. Shout out. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni have different leadership styles.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts is a grown-up. Cliff is kind of a kid too. I guess that's okay if he's an OC and not a head coach. So just had to put a little dig at the end over there. So why don't we go ahead and continue with Coach Lombard? You're absolutely right about Philly fans in general.
I know.
It's why I listen to so few of their content creators. Nothing is ever good enough. Today, that's a lot like your comments, Coach. Today is a ton of trash talk for a second.
Are you trying to turn us into them? Like, what is that?
Today, that's nothing is ever good enough. That's every comment that we've ever received. Today, it's a ton of trash talk for a second string edge. Then there's awareness. Excess optimism is its own devil, but at least it's positive vibes. So
no, see, this is. Let us influence you, not the other way around, Coach. That's the point. If you understand what it is that you guys have up there, which is just this poisonous shit, come here for respite. We're here. Don't turn us into that.
I'm taking the rest of the mailbag from here. just a heads up. Oh man, we're almost there. We go over to let's go to Garage Gym Life Media. You'll like this one, K-Dot. Shout out. Two things. First reports are that we backed out of the Ayuk talks because San Francisco wanted Terry in exchange, which would have put us in essentially the same position we're in now. One bona fide wide receiver and a bunch of question marks. I feel like I'm too far from the screen. I'm coming back. Second, Mahomes isn't the original behind the back passers. This is true. That honor goes to Sonny Jurgensen. Great show once again. Get K-Dot a beard oil sponsorship, and the sky's the limit for your show. K-Dot, your reaction.
Beard oil, dick pills, and fleshlights. That's all I'm about. And if I can find a way to use all of them at the same time, which I can.
We got two more here. We're going to go with Coach Lamar one more time. And then Tony, we're finishing with you. All right. Tony's got one more too. Oh, hype. Tony's got 3 today. All right. We're going to Coach Lamar, though.
There's no Jess. I need to offset.
I know. Well, trust me. Jess is typing right now. For context, that should be a bit too. We have a Jess is typing. Like that's a in certain situations. Here's Coach again. New G. For context for Commanders fans, Nolan Smith is Jamin Davis with Jahan's attitude problem. Okay. He has to play edge because he can't cover my mama, and he has virtually no pass rush moves. It's just funny with all the context of the prior comments. And he doesn't seem to want to work on it in the preseason. I have the same rubric for every player. Is it an effort thing? Is it a motivation thing? Or is it a skill thing? With the Nolan Smith, it might be all 3. I'm really hard on my players too. Side note, Philadelphia is the second city, so we are all carrying around massive chips on our shoulders. Also, Philly is Super Bowl or bust every season. The downside to having the best GM in sports is that fans expect Howie to make moves as opposed to developing underdeveloped players. That's a good point, though, because they do sort of expect Howie to just, fix it this offseason with new players. There isn't a sense of player development, I don't think, over there. Go ahead, K-Dot.
The fuck does second city mean? Is it
I don't know, but that's what it says.
See, this is also Philadelphia with this.
Philadelphia is the second city, so we are all carrying around.
Like after this podcast is over and fucking however long it's fucking over, I've got to drive I'm literally going the equidistant between Baltimore and Philly, so I'm going close to Philly right now. Y'all don't matter, not nearly as much as you think you matter. We represent the nation's capital, okay? The most powerful goddamn city in the world.
Can't you tell?
And we're still not even New York. And you're not New York. Nope. You guys are fancy Baltimore.
I like calling it fancy Baltimore moving forward. We go over to Tony to conclude the comment mailbag. Shout out Tony.
Yes, sir.
Might be Tony's longest comment here. I'm looking forward to this. Number 1, can we get some context? Cliff not working as a head coach doesn't mean he's a kid. Some coaches are better as an OC than they are head coach. 2, Cole Turner is not what we thought he was. 2 coaching staffs, including the staff that drafted him, have not put him on the field. I don't think the fans are being hard on him. I think that is proof he's just not good enough. Let's not forget he was drafted by Ron and them. Name 5 of their picks that worked out. And number 3, I love that other fans come here for a discussion, but don't tell us we're wrong about what we see. Don't come in my house and tell me I need to rearrange my furniture. Y'all are visitors. Us here, we bleed burgundy and gold and sometimes black and gold. It's in reference to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was Tony's comment, which, hey, bravo. I completely agree with it. Go ahead, K-Dot.
It ain't over. I got another comment. I wanted to see something that was written earlier, and I stumbled upon something. I know the rule is we don't read replies to other comments, but it's going to happen right now. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. Jeff Santo!
It's here! I just saw it.
From the top rope!
Go ahead. You do it.
In response to Ghost Lombard's comment about Cole Turner, Jeff Santo writes, must have missed it in your scouting report, Chief. Cole Turner was a wide receiver turned into a tight end. The previous and current coaching staffs have been working on his blocking fundamentals. Must have missed the English scouting report, Chief. It started! The war in the comments! Let's go!
There's no better way to conclude the show.
I fucking love it. Come on, Philly. Coach Lombard, bring your friends. I want this what I want. Yeah, fuck it. We let it rain fucking shitty fucking Kelly Green. You Vince Papali loving motherfuckers. Like, just do some shit. And let's get some bat. Let's get it going.
Kid, guess what? This is District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. Let's see what happens between these two juggernauts, these two heavyweights. The Clash of the Titans, Jess Santo, Coach New G Lombard. Let's see what happens here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Go to war! Yeah, fuck Armin and those motherfuckers that trying to make the Chicago Bears a thing. Let's keep it real.
I'm not making the Bears anything.
I wish I could play Nikki again. I just got you off. Everybody have a wonderful night and share that shit. I'm out. War!
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.